So it's your girl Sheenapreneur, and those who are new here, welcome, and those who are returning, thank you so much for being a part of the Sheenapreneur tribe. And I wanted to get into the conversation about subcontracting, and like I said, it goes into like how this middleman thing has been circling around, and I'm cool with like subbing people out or using subs for my work. I have 11 contracts that I service, and it's throughout the whole East Coast. So yeah, of course I have subs, of course I have independent contracting subs, I have companies that I use as well as subs, but sometimes you can't rely on your subs. So it's very dangerous to go into the thought of government contracting thinking that you could just sub it out. Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. Here on the Sheenapreneur channel, I share information about government contracting, veteran business content, and other business tips. I want to give a couple of stories on how my subs did not work out. So for one, I have a video called I Was Canceled. And it talks about this contract that I had. When we wrote the contract out, it was, based on a subcontractor that we were going to use in a local area, because this particular contract was about 6 hours away from me. So it wasn't like life or death, but that's still very, very far to go do a contract on your own. So once we were awarded, which was surprising, the subcontractor basically was like, F you, we're not going to do it for the price that we said because Lord knows what. And so of course that puts us in a position like, okay, well, now I need to find another subcontractor who's willing to do this. And so there are some ways that you can protect yourself when it comes to working with a sub prior to an award. And that is like a binding contract that you can have to say, hey, we are bidding on this. You are stating that you want to be a part of this contract and you cannot leave if we are awarded, and you have to lock in this price. That is a method, but guess what? People break contracts all the time, including me, because that's what I did. If you look at my video, I'll link it in the description of how I got canceled. I could not do that contract because the subcontractor was just not going to do it for the price, and I had no one else that was going to do it. So yes, you can put things in place in order to protect yourself and try to hold on to that sub. But then you get into what happens if they're binded, but then they still don't want to perform the way that they're supposed to. Because yeah, they'll be binded to this contract saying they're gonna do it for this price, but will they do it well? Will they represent your company well? Will they say, hey, this company is, blast your company, because they're upset that they're bound to that price and they really want it for a higher price? You never know what they might do to try to sabotage your company. Another way you can get caught up with using subcontractors, again, I use subcontractors, but another way to protect yourself from getting burned by subcontractors is sometimes within a contract or solicitation, when you are submitting it, it will say you cannot use subs, or it may say you have to list out the subs and it has to be a certain criteria that they have, and then some of your best subs may not have that criteria. They may have to have a general contractor's license or something like that, and your best contractor doesn't have a general contractor's license. This is real stuff. This is not the textbook. This is not like, oh, I heard about these things. These are things that actually happen in the field. So everything is not cookie cutter, what some people may say. These are things that actually, the details that actually happen out here in these government contracting streets, right? So say your best contractor does not have a general contractor's license. So, but he's great. He can build a house from the ground up. And on the solicitation, it may say they need to have XYZ. So they don't have XYZ, so I'm not putting them down as a subcontractor. They're gonna work under me as like an employee. So they're gonna be representing Foresight Industries, and they're gonna go out there and do great things. So with that person can be your greatest asset or your biggest enemy, because they can go to a site and represent their own company, because they can still have their own company and not have a certain licenses or certain insurances or whatever the case may be. And I know some people are gonna say, well, I'm not gonna do business with people that don't have a license, don't have insurance. Well, if you're in my industry, good luck, because there are a lot of people out here who do not have these things, but they are a great asset. And sometimes when it comes to government contracting, the ones who do have certain insurances and certain licenses, they may be too expensive for what the contract that you actually got. So I'm just giving the real information. I'm not giving play information. I'm not giving what everyone says it should be, because there's so many different ways to skin this cat. So this person may not be 100% reliable. They may not be 100% waving the flag of Foresight. They may come in with their own shirts and try to steal your customer base from you. But again, you can have a non-compete on paper all you want. Does that mean that this person is not going to do these things? Maybe, maybe not. Are you willing to sue them? Maybe, maybe not. So there's a lot of little intricate details where people think, well, if I have paperwork in place and it's going to be great. That doesn't mean a damn thing. I mean, all these hypotheticals are what make people get into bad spaces thinking that, oh my goodness, this is the worst thing that could ever happen. But you just have to be flexible when it comes to government contracting, because things change so often. Things can happen. You can't be in all places at all times. You just hope that whoever you get is going to represent you and your company well. One of the good benefits of having subcontractors is that, for example, I have a contract, two contracts up north. One is in Philly and one is in Delaware. And so I have a fantastic independent sub that I use who is so much better than me at building relationships. And so with him, he's going out finding work. Like, he's going out here in these streets, pounding the pavement, finding work for Foresight Industries. He's out there kissing babies, shaking hands, and ensuring that he's like, hey, Foresight is the best company to work for, because he doesn't want to have to deal with all the paperwork and all the things that come with, payroll. So his superpower is building relationships. And so that is one of the best things about having subcontractors that are on your side and that they are an asset to you and they bring more work to you. So of course, that's one of the favorite types of middlemen. I hate using that word. But basically what I'm saying is that sometimes you can get a really, really good sub who is like an extension of you, who is added benefit to you and your company, and you don't have to be there at all. You just you don't want to trust anyone 100% with your business, but you can pretty much trust that this person is going to have your best interest in mind and the best interest for you and your business. Another detail I have is when it comes to certain federal contracts. Now, I am in the construction space / facilities, so there is a subcontracting limit in a lot of contracts. So some agencies don't want you to have subs at all. Like I said earlier, some agencies have a limit where it's in the FAR. For construction, it's about 85% or something like that, where you cannot sub out more than 85% of your contract. So those who say, I'm just gonna find someone to do the work, that contract, you may not be allowed to do that. You may not be allowed to sub out more work than you think. So you can't just sit back and collect checks. You have to have someone on your payroll, or yourself, or however you're gonna, depending on what industry it is, you have to have a certain amount of work that's gonna be done by your company. Now, it may be something easy, like the payroll person, the HR person is under your payroll, and the superintendent or the manager is gonna be under your payroll, and that's the length of that 15% that you must meet. But that's just for construction and facilities. There's other industries where it's only 50% that you can have as subcontracting, because in construction they understand that there's going to be a lot of specialty skills, and so there's no way that you can really have all those people in, not no way, but there's a slimmer chance that you'll have all those people on your staff just for the sake of this contract. But just know that there are some ways where you cannot sub out, or some contracts that you cannot sub out, and there's a limit on it. So this is federal, on the federal side, but also I've seen it on the local side where, like I said, if you don't have it at the beginning when you are submitting the documentation, they don't want to see it. Or they may say you are not allowed to use subs. That's very, very common in janitorial, where those people have to be on your staff. Now what? Now you have to put these people on your payroll. And so are you able to put these people on your payroll? Also, if you have a solicitation that's due really, really quickly, again, I am going by the stuff that really happens out here in these streets. So if you have a solicitation that's due really, really quickly, you didn't even have time to vet somebody for this particular contract, but you wanted it. You're like, this is right up my alley. This type of contract doesn't come through very often, so I'm just gonna do my best and fill in the portions that I'm not too familiar with. For example, let's just say you're a pest control company and there's a cleaning aspect, there's a carpet replacement aspect, and so you're a pest control company, so you wouldn't really have a lot of information about cleaning or about carpet replacement. So you just do your best, pull stuff online because it's due tomorrow or it's due today, and you don't have time to vet someone, or maybe you vetted someone and they disappeared on you prior to you getting the information that you needed from them in order to make this solicitation more beefy. So you just pull stuff online, did the best you could, and then boom, submit. So now you're like, okay, let's see if we're gonna win. And then you actually win. So now you have to go and find a sub that is willing to do it under the terms that you already have laid out. So there's no documentation in place already saying that there's gonna be a certain price. So you as a prime has to figure out, is this gonna work? Or maybe I need to give them more money, or maybe we need to adjust what our profit is gonna be because we're bringing in someone totally new after we've already won. And then hopefully they'll be willing and able to abide by all these rules that were in place long before before they even got there. So I just want to give a couple of little instances of subcontracting and going a little bit deeper into the middleman strategy. And so from your favorite veteran who's out there in these streets doing these contracts, Sheenapreneur, thank you so much for sticking with me to the end. And don't forget to check out the course, Sheenapreneur.com. It'll be linked in the description. Like, comment, subscribe. I teach you how to be a 3-tier contractor, bidding on federal, local, and corporate contracts. And of course, I always have something for my veterans. Till next time.